Okay, let's get right to it. Let's get an update on the push for policy change up in D.C. Western Valley Congressman Henry Cuellar has been yelling at the top of his lungs for a couple of weeks now to try to get the White House to react to this flood of humanity from Central America coming into the area, thinking that they can stay because they're sending their kids on their own, or women and kids coming and asking to stay as well. And joining us on 710 KURV, Congressman Henry Cuellar. We saw the White House react late last week, Henry. Part of the plan, more immigration judges to help process these folks and send them back to where they came from. Are those judges setting up shop here in the Valley? And if so, where do they work? Do you know?
Well, that's the thing is, they did change their policy finally. Now the question is, how fast are they going to implement it? How are they going to do it? How many judges are they going to set up? In fact, this week I have a meeting with the Department of Justice where these judges are going to be coming from, so I can get a lot more detail. Because the thing is, you can send judges and you just send two or three of them are not going to be enough. So I don't know how many they're sending down, and I'm trying to get those details so we can have a change policy, but a policy in the implementation that means something significant.
Now, the change of policy, are we seeing a change of the roots of the problem, which is not deporting people that are deemed to be, not a threat? If you're a woman and kids, well, they're not threats to national security, so they can stay. So is that what we're looking at, a change in that policy? And if so, how do you communicate that loudly in Central America to say, don't go, you will be caught, you will be deported?
Yeah. Well, I think the focus, and again, the reason I say I think, because again, the White House, hasn't given us the courtesy of giving us the details. And not be that they're still trying to work this down, but it looks like it's more on family units that they're going to focus on sending back. I don't know. The kids, it's a little bit more complicated, but they still need to streamline the process for the kids, because the kids can be up here up to 2 years before there's a hearing. And, after 2 years, they're going to say, hey, we're here, don't deport us anymore. So the question is, are they going to streamline everything? There are some laws in place. There is an agreement that was done some years ago, back in the late 1990s. But again, I think it's time that we start streamlining the process and getting that message loud and clear to those countries that you just can't come here and stay. But there's been a change, but now let's see how fast they can implement this and see exactly what do they mean by a change of policy. I have a general idea of what they're saying, but we got to get those details.
Yeah, because the more heart-wrenching version of it is the fact that they're sending the kids on their own because they believe the kids will be allowed to stay. That one specifically needs to be addressed loudly. Joining us on 710 KURV, Western Valley Congressman Henry Cuellar.
Yeah, Congressman Tim Sullivan here. And just to follow up on Serge's question, I guess how much of the White House plan, how much of a focus in that plan is to deport these kids and also to get the message to El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, that if the children do come here, they won't be able to stay?
Well, again, we don't know because they haven't given us the details. But I assume that if they have a parent here, it's more likely that those kids probably will stay here. But if the kids are being sent here without a parent and the parents are still back home, then those are the ones that we need to safely send back over there. Every several times a week, there's about 25 flights that go back to Central America with male adults and probably the male females that have no kids and over here. So there is already a process in place. Now the question is, how do we send some of those family units back, and then how do we get to that point? Because if the kids have the parents over here, I'm telling you that's going to be a very different legal process. But if the kids are still back home, it's going to be a lengthy one. And I'll be happy to share. I'm gonna send over to you an analysis that shows you the agreements that got passed in the 1990s, and then there's also a trafficking law that got passed, I think, in 2002, that deal with this, with the kids. So it's a complicated legal issue, but again, you still got to have the judges down here so we can move those things faster. We can figure out who stays, who doesn't go. I mean, who needs to go?
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it at the border, then you know what's going to happen. They're going to be here, and then it's going to be
and they'll be part of
different
deferred,
process.
delayed action and all that type of stuff, and
There
they'll
you
get a
go.
social security number, they'll start working, and they'll become dreamers, and you know what that means.
Well, so how much of what Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson outlined during his visit here Friday, the Obama administration plan for handling these Central American immigrants, how much of that contains what you've been pushing for? Are you satisfied with this?
Well,
I guess it's about a 4-point plan.
Yes, and I sat down with him the day before he flew over here, and I asked him, I said, hey, I hope you get to talk to the local media down there. I hope you get to talk to the local officials, because the community leaders, because I think people down there in the border need to know. We need to know down there, what the plans are. But he said that unfortunately was not part of the plans. But I did ask him to do that, to talk to folks down here at the border. But in talking to him, I think it's going to help address, I would say, most of the things that I have been calling for. Now the question is, I want to see the implementation, because if you get some bureaucrats to implement,
they're going to drag their feet forever. Yeah, you and Vela and O'Rourke and anyone else, keep making noise on this, Henry. Get some quick answers. That's Western Valley Congressman Henry Cuellar joining us on 710 KURV.